everybody, Dana Litwin here again, and welcome back to Tuesday Tips for Leaders of Volunteers, and welcome into 2025. I traditionally do a Tuesday Tips video in the first week or so of January of a new year about the trends for the upcoming year, and this year, unfortunately, there's going to be a few troubling trends that are already in motion that are going to heavily impact the nonprofit sector that I think it's important that you understand and know about and know how to take action to mitigate harm or prevent it from happening at all. But there's also some good news. We have to kind of keep joy alive, not with a false positivity or gaslighting or magical thinking, but to understand how we do have power as leaders of volunteers to create change in our organizations, in our teams, and in our communities, and in our worldwide professional community. So, troubling trends for 2025. AmeriCorps defunding and beyond. The AmeriCorps funding for fiscal year 2024 is in progress. That's safe. So the grants that you have going on now are okay, but it is extremely likely, based on the actions of the Republican lame duck Congress in 2024 and what they wanted to cut from AmeriCorps, what they proposed as budget cuts, that with control of all three branches of government, of the federal government, that AmeriCorps will lose significant funding across many programs impacting VISTA and RSVP and Volunteer Generation Fund and others. The exact amount of damage is unclear, but one example that can give you a range is that the Republican version of the budget wanted to cut a total of over $953 million from the AmeriCorps budget. So the pot to draw from for your programs, if you've been relying on VISTA or RSVP or other aspects of AmeriCorps services, is probably that pot to draw funds from is probably going to be a lot smaller in spring of 2025 going into the fiscal year 2026. The other troubling trend, unfortunately, having to do with the American political system is a nonprofit killer bill. That's the nickname. It was originally called H.R. 9495 in Congress in 2024. Unfortunately, it was defeated in the Senate, but that bill is, again, extremely likely. It's kind of a high priority for the incoming administration to pass it, to become law in 2025. And this bill gives the Secretary of the Treasury, gives the Treasury Department the power to just fairly vaguely, randomly decide which nonprofits it likes and doesn't like, and can strip them of their legal tax status. So it literally is a nonprofit killer bill that is based on someone's political whims of what kind of causes and missions they approve of and what kinds of missions and causes and services they don't approve of. So that could have, I estimate, a very, very significant negative impact on the sector. So that's going on. We'll keep you updated on what actually happens with that. I may do a specialized video once the new Congress is kind of more up and running and we get an idea of if that's going to pass and to what degree it's going to be enforced. The third troubling trend of 2025 is definitely worldwide because it has to do with Meta, which is the company that runs Facebook and Instagram, if you didn't realize that. And Meta AI itself is creating, on purpose, false accounts, false profiles that are completely AI generated. And in one example that I saw from a friend in the tech industry who is reasonably quite concerned about this, and now I am too, it was specifically impersonating a queer black mother of two working for a fake charity and had an AI generated photo of her and a profile and boxes of clothes and things for donation. And the amount of trouble that these kind of engagement farming fake accounts that are literally just there to, again, engagement farm, get clicks, get eyeballs, fool people, the amount of fraud, confusion, misinformation, disinformation is very high with this action. And it's very troubling that companies themselves, not just scam artists or bad actors who've been using that for a while, but the tech companies themselves, especially Meta, Facebook, are purposefully rolling these out and think that this is a fun and interesting thing to do. The problem with that, there's a lot of problems with that. There's a lot of problems with generative AI and where it is. But now if we're kind of creating these fake accounts that are essentially burning up fossil fuels, burning down rainforests, Gen AI uses a ridiculous amount of water and power while we're in the middle of a climate crisis. I've talked about that previously. But they're engagement farming with made-up charity work, and the potential for harm with this, I think you can imagine as much as I can imagine, where fake donations just go somewhere. Volunteers think they're signing up for something that they're not, and they get frustrated, and maybe they don't want to ever volunteer with a real nonprofit, or a fake account decides to clone or impersonate a real nonprofit for whatever mischievous or money-making reason and siphon things away from them. So that's a big problem that's happening that we can't particularly do anything about the creation of those, but I want to encourage you to be more aware of not using generative AI, not engaging with generative AI posts as much as possible, recognizing when you see like a weird, shiny, uncanny valley, too many fingers, there's a few clues to what AI work looks like, and to please disengage from using products that are, you think are shortcuts or time savers for yourself. The harm that generative AI is causing at this moment in history far outweighs any of the good or time saving or things that you think are shortcuts for yourself. It's just really not worth it at this point, and this is one prime example of that. Some good news. I'm getting to the good news. There is cool new AmeriCorps research published here at the end of 2024 that does show an increase in volunteerism overall in the past few years since the beginning of the 2020 pandemic. And they measured formal and informal volunteering, and for the first time measured virtual volunteering. So that's really encouraging. And if you follow the Volunteer Match newsletter, they have a great kind of quote about it. And I'm also going to link to the research itself on virtual volunteering and the overall research results by AmeriCorps on that. But in general, there's been an increase in formal volunteering with 28% of Americans volunteering. It's up from 22%. And more than half of all Americans, 54%, engaged in some type of informal activities to help neighbors in their communities. And for the first time, virtual volunteering is discussed and researched, and I'm going to do a much deeper dive Tuesday tips coming up soon, probably this month in January, on the details of this report, and particularly around virtual volunteering. So more good news. Community building and mutual aid. We really only have each other at this point. There's going to be a lot of chaos and distraction, and there's already multiple economic and climate and pandemic related, new pandemics, old pandemics coming along. All of these things are kind of converging in a multi-system way, and it's more important than ever for you to connect with your neighbors, connect with people you trust, build community. If you do not know about or have a mutual aid group in your area, you're a leader of volunteers, maybe you have the time to help pull one together. But the power of community and people power, helping each other more and more in these informal ways, or strengthening nonprofits and local government work as much as they can with volunteerism, and supporting a social safety net that is going to be, again, pretty much shredded by the new administration. It's going to be more important than ever. So I wish you courage and commitment to your cause to help all of us and each other. We really are going to have to rely on each other more and more in 2025 and the next few to several years, with multiple things going on. But I'm going to put some links below to resilience.org and some other organizations that, again, have real direct action, empowering, encouraging, and sometimes just social Zoom meetings for you to find other like-minded people who want to do good in the world and really genuinely help people without causing harm, without doing it with hate, and to make the world a better place for everybody life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what any of us want out of this existence. I hope you enjoy these Tuesday tips. If you do and you're not yet a subscriber, please hit that button. It helps me out a lot. I really appreciate it. Hit the like, share this with colleagues, and I'll see you next time for more Tuesday tips. Take care.